You wake before dawn, and the first thing you feel is the cold. The floor is straw, the country is on fire, and today, like most days, someone wants you dead. You are a samurai in the age of the warring states, and your entire life is a preparation for one thing. Not glory, not gold, a good death. This is your life as a samurai, from your first breath to your last. The year is 1560, give or take, and Japan has no single ruler. For 100 years, the country has torn itself apart in a war of everyone against everyone. Great lords called daimyo carve the land into domains and fight endlessly to swallow their neighbors. Above them, a powerless emperor prays in Kyoto, while the real power belongs to whoever holds the most swords. And the swords belong to men like you, the buke, the warrior families. You are not a common farmer, and you are not a lord. You are the blade in between. Your worth is measured in loyalty, in rice, and in your willingness to die on command. You were born into a samurai household, and from your first cry, your path is already chosen. A boy in this family is not raised to be happy. He is raised to be useful to his lord. Your mother teaches you the first rule before you can even walk. Never bring shame to the family name. Shame, you will learn, is worse than pain and far worse than death. If your family is wealthy, you grow up inside a fortified home with servants and horses. If your family is poor, and many samurai are, you are proud, hungry, and armed. Because a samurai without money is still a samurai, and the sword at his hip proves it. Your surname, your crest, and your right to carry two swords set you apart from everyone below you. Your childhood ends early because training begins the moment you can hold a wooden sword. At dawn, you practice strikes until your hands blister and your arms shake. You learn the bow first, not the sword, because on the battlefield, the arrow reaches farther than the blade. You learn to ride because a mounted archer is the oldest and proudest kind of samurai. You study reading, poetry, and calligraphy because a warrior who cannot think is only half a weapon. Your teachers beat discipline into you until obedience becomes instinct. You are taught to ignore hunger, cold, and fear, and to show nothing on your face. You memorize the story of every ancestor who died well, and you are told, this is the family you must honor. Play is rare, weakness is punished, and crying is the one luxury you learn to give up. By the time you are 12, you already move like a soldier. Around 15, you kneel for a ceremony called Genpuku, the day you become a man. Your childhood forelock is cut, and the front of your head is shaved into the warrior's topknot. You are handed your first real katana and your first suit of armor. You take an adult name, and from this moment, your mistakes carry the weight of a full man. You are now expected to fight, to serve, and, if ordered, to die. You are in every sense that matters, ready for war. But a samurai does not fight for himself. You serve a lord, and that bond is the center of your life. You swear loyalty to your daimyo, and in return he feeds you, houses you, and pays you. Your salary is not counted in coins, it is counted in rice. A unit called the koku, roughly enough rice to feed one person for a year, measures your rank and your worth. A foot soldier might earn a handful of koku. A great retainer commands thousands. You live inside a castle town, clustered around your lord's fortress with the other retainers. The castle is not just a home, it is a statement. Stone, timber, and towers built to break an army. Your duty is constant. Guard, train, attend your lord, and be ready to march at a moment's word. Betray this bond, and you become a ronin, a masterless samurai, a sword with no purpose. A ronin is pitied, feared, and often desperate, because a samurai without a lord is a body without a head. Now, the weapons. And here, the truth is stranger than the legend. You imagine a samurai as a swordsman, but on the real battlefield, the sword is rarely your first choice. The queen of the battlefield is the yari, the spear, long, cheap, and brutally effective. A wall of spears can stop a cavalry charge that no swordsman ever could. The bow reaches farther still, raining arrows before the armies ever touch. And then, in 1543, everything changes when foreign traders bring the gun. The matchlock, the Tanegashima, lets a farmer with a week of training kill a samurai who trained for 20 years. Whole battles are decided by ranks of gunmen firing in volleys, and warfare is never the same again. So where does the famous sword fit? Closer than you think, and later than you think. The katana is your sidearm and your soul, drawn when the spears break and the fight turns to chaos. It is a masterpiece of folded steel, curved to slice, sharp enough to split silk in the air. Forging one takes a master smith weeks of hammering, folding, and prayer. You will care for that blade like a living thing, oiling it, polishing it, and never drawing it without cause, because to draw the sword is to promise to use it. Before battle, you put on armor built not from a single sheet, but from hundreds of small plates. Iron and leather scales are laced together with silk cord into flexible, layered protection. It is light enough to run in, strong enough to turn a blade, and beautiful enough to terrify. Your helmet, the kabuto, is crowned with a crest meant to be seen across the battlefield. Some warriors mount horns, antlers, or golden suns on their helmets to be recognized in the chaos. Over your face, you strap a snarling iron mask, half armor, half nightmare. The whole suit says one thing to the enemy: I am samurai, and I am not afraid to die here. On your back flies a small banner, the sashimono, so your lord can find you in the smoke. At your waist, you carry not one sword, but two, the pair called the daisho. The long katana is for the battlefield. The short wakizashi never leaves your side. Only a samurai may wear the both, and that pair is the visible proof of who you are. The short blade has a second, darker purpose you carry with you every single day. If you are captured, disgraced, or defeated, that blade is how you take back your honor. But first, the code that is supposed to guide your whole life, the way of the warrior, what later ages will call Bushido. In its ideal form, Bushido is a code of loyalty, courage, honor, and self-control. You are told to be loyal to your lord beyond reason, beyond fear, and even beyond life itself. You are told to master your emotions so completely that death holds no terror for you. A samurai should be honest, disciplined, and indifferent to comfort, wealth, and pain. The ideal warrior lives every day as if it is his last and treats his own life as already spent. You practice meditation to steady your mind and poetry to keep your soul from turning to stone. Loyalty in this ideal is not a feeling, it is an unbreakable law. That is the story the samurai tell themselves, clean, noble, and pure. But you should know the truth. Much of that perfect code was written down long after the wars ended. In the real warring states, loyalty is often for sale, and betrayal is a battlefield tactic. Retainers switch sides when the odds turn, and whole armies change loyalty mid-battle. At the greatest battle of the age, entire clans betray their allies for a better bargain. So the real samurai is not always the pure hero of legend. He is a survivor in a brutal world. Honor matters, but so does winning, feeding your family, and staying alive to fight again. The truest loyalty is often to your own clan, your own name, and your own survival. Understand both, the noble code and the messy reality, and you understand the samurai. When war comes, and it always comes, you march. Campaigns mean days of walking, sleeping on cold ground, and eating rice you carry on your back. You cross rivers, climb passes, and burn the enemy's fields to starve his castles. At night in camp, you check your armor, sharpen your blade, and try not to think of home. Some men pray, some men gamble, some men simply stare into the fire. Before the battle, a priest or your commander may bless the army and read the omens. Your commanders give the plan through signal flags, conch horns, and thundering war drums. And then, on a cold morning in a valley, you see them, the enemy, thousands strong across the field. Your mouth goes dry, your heart hammers, and you remember every lesson that told you not to run. The drums begin, low and slow, and the whole valley seems to hold its breath. Arrows go up first, darkening the sky, and the front ranks raise their shields and pray. Then the guns speak, a crackle, a roll of thunder, and a wall of white smoke. The commander's flag drops, the horns scream, and the whole line surges forward. You run with the spear wall, shoulder to shoulder, into a noise you will never forget. Two walls of men crash together, and the neat plans dissolve into pure chaos. Spears splinter, lines break, and suddenly it is close, personal, and unbearably loud. Now the sword comes out, and every year of training answers at once. You do not think, you move, parry, step, strike, because thinking is too slow to survive. Around you banners fall, riders thunder past, and the ground turns to churned mud. Mounted samurai smash through the flanks, and foot soldiers scatter before them. Somewhere a commander is watching it all, moving units like stones on a board. Courage and cowardice look the same from a distance. Up close, they decide who lives. The battle can turn in a heartbeat, one broken line, one fallen banner, one lord's death. And when it breaks fast. One side runs, and the killing chase begins. If your side wins, you are alive, exhausted, and covered in the day's filth. If it loses, you may not be alive at all. But victory alone is not enough. You must prove what you did. A samurai is rewarded for the enemies he defeats, and the proof is grim, the heads of the fallen. After the battle, deeds are counted, and land, rice, or rank is handed out to the deserving. A single act of bravery, witnessed by the right person, can lift your family for generations. A moment of cowardice, witnessed by the wrong person, can erase it just as fast. So you fight not only your enemy, but your own name in the eyes of everyone watching. Glory is real here, but so is the cost, and the cost is always paid in blood. Which brings us to the part of your life the legends never let you forget. For a samurai, how you die matters as much as how you live. To die in battle facing the enemy is considered a beautiful and honorable end. But to be captured or to fail your lord is a shame no victory can wash away. And so, over the centuries, the samurai create the most extreme answer to shame ever devised: Seppuku, a ritual death by the warrior's own hand, chosen over disgrace. It is done calmly, deliberately, and often with a poem written moments before. A trusted friend stands behind as the second, the kaishakunin, to end the suffering swiftly. By choosing death, the samurai reclaims the one thing shame tried to take, his honor. It is brutal, it is deliberate, and to the samurai, it is the ultimate proof of control. Life is treated as a blossom, beautiful precisely because it falls. Now imagine you survive it all, the wars, the battles, the years of blood, because in 1615 one clan finally wins and the century of war simply stops.
A new ruling family locks the country down and brings a peace that will last over 200 years. And here is the strange twist. Peace is the hardest thing that ever happens to the samurai. You are a warrior in a world that suddenly has no war left to fight. Your swords become symbols instead of tools, worn for status more than for battle. The battlefield archer becomes a clerk. The spear captain becomes an accountant. You spend your days on paperwork, taxes, ceremony, and rules about how to bow. The sword you were born to wield may never taste a real fight in your entire life. You are still a samurai, but now mostly in name and in memory. For generations, samurai families live off their rice stipends, polishing a warrior identity with no war. Some pour themselves into the arts, the tea ceremony, gardens, poetry, and philosophy. Others fall into debt, boredom, and the slow ache of being useless. The code of the warrior hardens into etiquette, and the wolf slowly becomes a house pet. A whole class of trained killers spends 2 centuries with almost nothing to kill. And slowly, quietly, the world that made the samurai necessary begins to disappear. Then, from across the sea, the future arrives, and it does not ask permission. Foreign ships, foreign guns, foreign power, and Japan realizes it can no longer stay closed. To survive the modern world, Japan decides it must transform, and the samurai are in the way. A new government rises, and one by one, it strips the samurai of everything that made them special. Their rice stipends are cut, their right to rule is abolished, their topknots are ordered cut off. And then, in 1876, the unthinkable. Samurai are banned from carrying swords in public. The sword, the soul of the samurai, is taken from their side by their own government. Some accept the change and become soldiers, teachers, officers, and leaders of the new Japan, but others cannot bear it, and a final band of warriors rises in one last doomed rebellion. They charge with swords and spirit against rifles and cannon, and they lose. With them falls the last living breath of the samurai as a fighting class. 7 centuries of warriors end not with a great battle, but with a slow fade into history. And yet, the samurai never truly disappear. Their code, their discipline, and their calm before death still echo through the world today. The idea that how you carry yourself matters more than how long you live, that is their gift. You lived as a samurai, born to serve, trained to endure, ready to fall. A life measured not in years, but in how bravely you met each one. So the next time you see that curved blade, remember what it really carried. Not just steel, but a whole way of living and a whole way of dying. If you made it this far, subscribe and tell me in the comments, could you have lived this life?